Alright, hey guys, so today I figured I would talk about a subject that I've been meaning to cover on my channel for quite some time, and it's something I get asked pretty frequently, and that is, why do I not use emulators for video games? And I just wanted to first start off by saying that I have nothing against people that use emulators, even though I myself am strongly against using it personally. Anybody out there that's a collector or just a casual gamer and all you do is use emulators, I really could care less. I mean, I realize that not everybody can buy the physical games. It's not the most inexpensive thing to do. It's not the easiest thing to do. So using emulators is definitely a very convenient and something that I don't hold a grudge against anybody for. For me personally, it's pretty simple. There's a few reasons why I choose not to use it. One is that I guess you can say I know myself as a collector. I really have this sense of enjoyment of collecting games. I've narrowed it down. These days, I only buy games that I really honestly want to play and own in my collection. I'm kind of past the point where I just buy games just because, I need it for my collection, unless I'm going for a complete collection for a system. But let's just use the Super Nintendo, for example. It is one of my favorite systems to buy games for. Unfortunately, of course, it's been going up in price over the years, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. But let's just say that, I don't know, a game I've been after for many years now, Evo Search for Eden on the Super Nintendo is one of my personal most sought after games. As easy as it would be for me to just go and download a Super Nintendo emulator and download the ROM, I personally just get such a sense of enjoyment and excitement out of, say, even if it's on eBay, not even in the wild, because it would be pretty expensive to find this in a store, just going on eBay and getting it for a good price, and then getting the physical thing. It's like Christmas morning when you open up these boxes of these games that you've been searching for so long, and just owning the physical product. It's a piece of history. Collectors can identify with, actually owning the real thing. And since I'm buying it to play it as well, if I were to download the emulator and just have, free reign to just play it whenever the heck I want for free, I would lose some sense of excitement in getting that game in the mail and putting it into my Super Nintendo and playing it on my TV on an actual Super Nintendo with a real controller. Whereas if I'm playing it on an emulator, I don't know, I would just feel sort of like, it wouldn't feel as authentic, it wouldn't feel as fun to me. I'm sure some people are probably struggling to really understand why. Like, what is the big deal about playing these games on an actual TV? As opposed to, say, just, hooking it up to your computer. I'm sure there's adapters out there to use the Super Nintendo controller. People are probably saying, like, what's the big deal? I don't want to spoil myself either. It's, if I had access to the entire, once again, for example, Super Nintendo library games, I would really have no incentive to spend large amounts of money on the games. And it's not like I want to spend money, but I do like having a physical collection. I don't know if I'm getting my point across here, but having access to play whatever game I want at any point in time would make me less inclined to seek out the physical pieces of the games that I really want. Mostly because I don't have that drive to spend the money, get the actual game, and then play it. If it ends up being a terrible game, so be it. If it ends up being an amazing game, wow, that's great. I have another great game in my collection. I would also have a hard time diverting my attention between so many different games. If I had all the choice in the world to play any game that I want that's available out there, I would be skipping between games like nonstop. If you told me that I had access to every PlayStation 1 RPG, every Super Nintendo RPG, every Sega Genesis platformer, and I can skip between them at any point in time that I want, I would not be able to commit to games and play them. Whereas if I, say, bought a game, I would feel more committed to actually following through with it, because I wouldn't feel like I can switch games at any point in time. It's sort of a weird thing. That's probably my number one, because I know that once I have access to an emulator, I honestly would probably never really want to buy many of the games that I end up playing. Whether or not I just get bored of them, or they're not as good as I thought they would be for the price that they go for. Another thing that can bug me about emulators is, I'm sure there's ways to get around this, but there are times where I watch videos on YouTube and the game is obviously being played on an emulator and not the real hardware or software. And that really bugs me, because I want the most authentic experience possible for some games. So some games suffer from, frame rate issues or graphical issues or sound issues, and just finding the best ROM available for each game. Let alone, I really do not like downloading anything anymore to do with, like, I don't want to say ROMs are illegal, even though they kind of are. I kind of try and avoid that side of the internet. That's why I do not download any music anymore on my computer whatsoever. I do all my music listening on YouTube and stuff like that. Or if I have to, I download something from iTunes. But I really try and avoid that scary part of the internet these days. I don't care how much virus protection software you have. It's a scary thing. After your computer crashes and you lose everything, including completed videos that I had done a couple of years ago, I'm a lot more careful when it comes to downloading stuff on the internet these days. So that's another reason why I try and avoid downloading anything online these days. There are a few instances where I would consider using emulation. One would be for MAME. That way I am able to play arcade games, and that's something I've wanted to do for quite some time now. It's just download MAME, download a whole bunch of ROMs, and then, you know, play them on my computer. Get like a nice arcade stick so I can play all the arcade games, because obviously I'm not gonna have arcade machines anytime soon, so having MAME is very convenient, and that's definitely something I would consider. The only other thing I'd consider it for is downloading, say, like a ROM hack or something that is exclusively only available online as a ROM that hasn't been reproduced into a cartridge or anything like that. So yeah, that's about the only thing I'd consider a ROM for, or maybe if there was a game that was like really expensive and I wanted to just test it out just to make sure I liked it, but well, that hasn't happened quite yet, because like I said, there's just some sort of like fun and you know, I take enjoyment in the risk of getting a rare game and hoping that I'm going to really enjoy it, and then, you know, when I do like it, hey, it was worth the investment. So I guess I'll just end this video by summing up once again exactly why it is that I don't use emulators, just so people kind of understand why that is. Alright, so number one, it would take away the enjoyment for me of actually collecting, because, like I said, I like to actually buy the games and play them the first time that way on the actual hardware, instead of just having free reign to play whatever the heck I wanted on, you know, my computer. Two, I would get spoiled. I probably would not want to buy many games after I'd played the ROMs, whether it was a bad game or I just get bored of it or whatnot. I would have gamer ADD, where I would, you know, I kind of suffer from that already, where it's like I skip between so many different games as it is from what I own. Whereas if I had the vast world of video game ROMs open to me, I would just be skipping between games at an incredible rate. I would not be able to commit to any game at one time because I would just have so many choices to play. And of course, when it comes to like quality issues, not all ROMs are perfect, and having to hunt to try and find the best ROMs, I'm just not into that. I want the most authentic experience possible. And of course, the scary thing of actually downloading and finding these things online. I mean, I'm not really into downloading that kind of stuff online anymore. It's just not my thing. So yeah, that's kind of my attempt at explaining why I just don't use emulators. As a collector, I understand why other people do for convenience on, say, playing on an, you know, dumping all your ROMs onto an Xbox or something like that, and being able to just play them all on one system. Totally understandable, but for me, I don't know, I just like the chaos of having to switch out my games all the time and use the actual carts and CDs and whatnot and actual systems to play them on. So hopefully that kind of explained it. I know it was a little confusing. It's not the easiest thing for me to explain. So let me know in the comments below, do you guys use emulators? Why or why not? It's kind of a touchy subject, so make sure that, you know, you're not too critical on some people that may. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video.